The sun hasn't fully risen over Dubai yet, but the city already hums with a distant, muted energy. Inside the penthouse on the 63rd floor, silence reigns. Thick, expensive silence. The kind that only comes with marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, and walls that swallow sound. The air conditioning hums softly, a constant whisper that keeps the desert heat at bay. In the master bedroom, beneath a silk duvet the color of cream, a small shape stirs. Charlie? A brindled French Bulldog with a face like a wrinkled fruit and eyes that seem too large for his skull, lifts his head. His ears pivot forward. He listens. From the hallway comes the sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate, the soft shuffle of leather slippers against stone. Charlie's tail begins to wag before he even sees the door open. It's a rhythm he knows better than his own heartbeat.
Good morning, my little friend.
The door swings inward, and there he is, Sheikh Omar, tall and lean, dressed in a white dish dasher that catches the pale morning light.
But I understand.
His face is unreadable, as it often is, lines carved by decades of decisions, negotiations, silence.
Good morning, little one.
But his eyes, dark and warm, soften the moment they land on the dog. Good morning, Habibi, Omar says quietly, his voice rough with sleep. He crosses the room in 3 strides and sits on the edge of the bed. Charlie scrambles toward him, paws slipping slightly on the silk, his entire body wiggling with joy. Omar reaches out, and his hand, large, calloused despite the luxury, cups the dog's head with a tenderness that feels almost sacred. He scratches behind Charlie's ears, slow and rhythmic, and the dog's eyes close in bliss. For a moment, neither of them moves. The city below is waking, but here in this room, time doesn't exist. Omar lifts Charlie into his arms and stands. The dog is heavier than he looks, compact and muscular, but Omar carries him like a child. He walks to the window, where the skyline stretches endlessly, glass towers catching the first blush of sunrise, the distant shimmer of the Persian Gulf, cranes frozen mid-construction like sleeping giants. Charlie doesn't look at the view. He looks at Omar's face, studying the lines around his eyes, the way his jaw tightens and then releases. Omar stares out at the city he helped build, the empire he commands, and for a moment something flickers across his expression, something that might be loneliness or weariness, or simply the weight of being who he is. Then he glances down at Charlie, and the moment passes. He smiles. It's a small smile, private, meant for no one else. "You don't care about any of this, do you?" he murmurs.
Good morning, little friend.
Charlie tilts his head,
Did you
ears
sleep well?
flopping to one side. Omar's smile widens. Smart boy. They move through the morning routine, with the practiced ease of ritual. Omar sets Charlie down in the kitchen, an expanse of white marble and chrome, spotless and cold except for the corner where Charlie's bowls sit. They're not ordinary
Welcome
bowls.
home, little one.
One is hand-painted
Your
porcelain
food
from Italy,
is right
the
here.
other a custom piece of hammered silver. Omar fills the silver bowl with filtered water, the porcelain one with a carefully measured portion of fresh chicken and rice, prepared by the household chef the night before. No kibble,
Boy,
no
just
cans,
a moment, okay?
only food, fit for a son.
Almost
Charlie
done.
eats
There you
with
go.
enthusiasm, his flat face diving into the bowl, snorting and chewing with abandon. Omar leans against the counter, arms crossed, watching. He's supposed to be reviewing contracts this morning, making calls to London and New York, but he doesn't move. He just watches. There's something hypnotic about it. The simplicity of a creature who exists entirely in the present moment, unburdened by expectation or ambition. When Charlie finishes, he looks up, his dark eyes shining, a single grain of rice stuck to his muzzle.
Such a good boy.
Omar laughs, a real laugh, unexpected and genuine. He kneels down,
you
wipes the
are.
rice away with his thumb, and scratches Charlie's chin. Messy, he says, always messy. The day unfolds slowly. Omar has work, always work, but he structures his life around Charlie now. Mid-morning, they take the private elevator down to the ground floor and step out into the building's private garden, a hidden oasis of green in a city built on sand.
Yeah.
The grass is imported, the trees pruned to perfection, the fountain in the center carved from Carrara marble. Charlie trots ahead, nose to the ground, investigating scents
like
that
this
only
view,
he
don't
can
you?
detect. Omar follows a few paces behind, hands clasped behind his back. his white robes catching the breeze. He doesn't talk on the phone. He doesn't check his watch. He just walks. They pass an elderly gardener trimming a hedge. The man nods respectfully, and Omar nods back. Charlie pauses to sniff the man's boots, tail wagging. The gardener smiles, a gap-toothed, weathered smile, and Omar feels a strange warmth spread through his chest. It's been years since he's walked through a garden without an agenda, without thinking 3 moves ahead. But Charlie doesn't allow for that kind of thinking. Charlie demands presence. By afternoon, the heat is brutal, even in the shade. They retreat back to the penthouse and Omar settles into his office, a room of dark wood and leather, walls lined with books in Arabic, English and French. Charlie curls up on a cushion beside the desk, a cushion that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Omar works phone calls, emails, video conferences with men in Singapore and Sao Paulo. But every so often, he glances down. Charlie is asleep, his chest rising and falling, his paws twitching as he dreams. Omar wonders what he dreams about. Probably nothing profound. Probably just the memory of breakfast or the feeling of grass under his feet. The thought makes him smile. Evening arrives like a sigh. The sky bleeds orange and pink, and the call to prayer echoes faintly from a distant mosque. Omar finishes his work early, something he never does, and finds Charlie waiting by the door to the terrace. It's become their ritual, every evening without fail. Omar opens the door, and they step out into the cooling air. The terrace is vast, stretching the length of the penthouse, furnished with low sofas and lanterns that glow softly as the light fades. Omar sits, and Charlie jumps up beside him, settling into his lap with a contented grunt. They watch the city together. Below, Dubai pulses with life. Cars streaming along Sheikh Zayed Road, lights beginning to flicker on in 1,000 windows, the Burj Khalifa rising like a needle piercing the sky. Omar rests his hand on Charlie's back, feeling the warmth of him, the steady rhythm of his breathing. He thinks about his life, the decades spent building, acquiring, proving, the marriages that didn't last, the children he never had, the friends who became business associates, and then strangers. Somewhere along the way, he forgot what it felt like to be needed for something other than his wealth or his influence. But Charlie needs him. Not his money, not his power, just him. The man who feeds him, who walks with him, who holds him when thunder cracks across the desert sky. It's a need so pure, so uncomplicated, that it feels like grace. You saved me, you know, Omar says quietly. Charlie's ear twitches, but he doesn't open his eyes. I didn't know I needed saving, but you knew. The night deepens, stars appear, faint against the glow of the city. Omar doesn't move. He sits there, this powerful man in his white robes, cradling a French Bulldog in his lap, and for the first time in longer than he can remember, he feels complete. Not because of what he owns or what he's achieved, but because of this small, snoring creature who chose to love him without condition, without question, without end. Inside, the penthouse waits, silent, pristine, filled with treasures from every corner of the world. But out here, on this terrace, with the wind carrying the scent of jasmine and the distant sound of the city humming below, none of that matters. What matters is this: a hand resting on soft fur, a heartbeat against a chest, a bond that needs no language. Charlie shifts slightly, pressing closer, and Omar closes his eyes. Tomorrow will bring its demands, its complications, its endless negotiations. But tonight there is only this: a father and his son. Not by blood, not by law, but by something deeper, something that transcends the accidents of biology and the constructs of society. By choice, by love, the city lights shimmer, the world turns. And in the gathering darkness, 2 souls, one human, one animal, rest together, complete.